She was sitting alone at the long wooden table, her hands trembling, her eyes fixed on the floor as if looking up might break her completely. The man across from her wore a smirk, cold, certain, the kind of smirk that comes from believing you've already won. To him, she looked helpless. Fragile. Easy to crush. He had no idea what was coming. Because the moment the doors opened, and her lawyers walked in with a file so thick it looked like justice bound in paper, his smirk slowly dissolved. And what happened next? Well, it wasn't just a victory in a courtroom. It was a victory born from one stranger's unexpected kindness. Before we begin, if you're enjoying stories that warm the heart and remind you of the good still in this world, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. It helps our channel, Kindness Tales, continue sharing stories that inspire kindness every day. The story really began months before that courtroom day, long before the file existed, and long before she had anyone standing with her. Her name was Emily. She worked at a small cafe on the corner of a quiet street in Ohio, a place where the smell of cinnamon rolls wrapped around you the moment you walked in. She wasn't the type to talk much about herself, but she greeted every customer with a soft smile, the kind that felt like warmth on a cold day. One Tuesday morning, around 6 a.m., a man came in drenched from the rain. His clothes were worn, his backpack torn at the seams, and his face carried that long, tired look of someone who hadn't slept in a bed for a long time. He hesitated near the door, as if unsure whether he was welcome. Emily noticed him instantly. "Come on in," she said gently. "You look freezing. Sit wherever you like." He nodded but didn't speak. He sat in the back corner, his hands tucked under his arms. Emily walked over with a hot cup of coffee and set it in front of him. "This one's on the house," she said. The man looked up, surprised. I don't have money," he murmured. "That's okay," she replied. "Everyone deserves something warm on a day like this." He stared at the steam rising from the cup, then whispered a soft thank you. Emily simply smiled and walked back to the counter. His name was Daniel. And that small act of kindness, just a cup of coffee, was something he would remember long after the morning ended. Over the next few months, Daniel came in every couple of weeks. Sometimes Emily gave him a leftover sandwich at closing time, sometimes she slipped him a fresh muffin, wrapped neatly like a gift. She never pried, never asked why he was struggling. She just treated him like a human being, with dignity and kind eyes. What Emily didn't know was that somewhere else in her life, things were falling apart. Her landlord, a man named Mr. Burke, had been raising rents aggressively. Emily was barely making ends meet. One month she was late, only by a few days, and the landlord pounced. He slapped her with unnecessary fees, then threatened eviction. Emily tried to reason with him. She had been a good tenant for years. But he didn't care. He saw an opportunity to force her out and renovate the unit for a higher-paying tenant. Emily was devastated. Losing her home felt like losing her safety, her small corner of the world where she kept hope alive. She tried calling legal aid, but wait times were long, and appointments were scarce. She felt alone, like she was fighting the whole world with nothing but a fraying thread of hope. One evening, as she closed the cafe, Daniel came by. He looked cleaner than before, a little healthier. Emily smiled, happy to see him doing better. "You okay?" he asked softly, noticing the exhaustion in her face. She tried to brush it off. "Just a long day." But Daniel wasn't convinced. "You've helped me a lot," he said. "If something's wrong, you can tell me." Emily hesitated, then quietly told him about the eviction notice. Not in dramatic detail, just the basics. She didn't want pity, she just needed to let the weight out for a moment. Daniel listened, then nodded slowly. "I'm really sorry you're going through that," he said. "But I think I can help." Emily almost laughed. Daniel was kind, but she assumed he meant emotional support. She thanked him and wished him a good night. The next morning, her life changed. Two well-dressed attorneys walked into the cafe and asked for her by name. Confused, Emily approached them. One opened a folder and said, "We were sent by a Mr. Daniel Price. He told us you're facing an unlawful eviction." Emily blinked. "Daniel sent you?" The attorney nodded. "He's our firm's founder." Emily felt her knees weaken. The man she had been giving free coffee to for months was the founder of a major law firm. Within days, they had pulled documents, tenant laws, timelines, and notices. They discovered the landlord had violated multiple housing regulations. Daniel's attorneys prepared a case so solid that even reading the first page would make any landlord sweat. And that's how, on the day Emily sat trembling at the table, facing a man who thought she had no power, the doors opened, and the lawyers walked in with that thick file. Mr. Burke's confidence cracked the moment he saw them. The hearing didn't last long. Emily won. Not only did she keep her home, but the landlord was fined for his violations. For the first time in months, she felt safe again. After the hearing, Daniel met her outside the courthouse. He was dressed much better now, clean clothes, neat hair, a quiet confidence. But his warm smile was exactly the same. "You didn't have to do all of this," Emily said, tears building in her eyes. Daniel shook his head. "You were kind to me when I had nothing. You treated me like a person. Kindness like that, it sticks. It changes people." Emily hugged him tightly. "Thank you," she whispered. He smiled. "Just paying it forward." For months afterward, Emily noticed she smiled more easily. She helped people even more intentionally. And every time she did, she remembered something Daniel told her that day. Kindness doesn't disappear. It waits. And when you least expect it, it comes back to you. And so, the simple truth remains: one small act of kindness can ripple further than you'll ever know, reaching places you never imagined, and returning in ways more powerful than you could ever expect. Go out today and spread kindness. You never know whose life you might change, or how that kindness might someday find its way back to you.